I've moved from the studios out in Auckland Park, and now I am out in Sandton at Investec because we're catching up with one of our Paralympians who came back to South Africa with not only a gold medal but a bronze as well, one that we had to fight tooth and nail for. I'm with Mpumelelo Mhlongo. Mpumelelo, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So for some of our viewers sitting at home and they're asking themselves, yes, we can see Mpumelelo is differently abled, but what is his disability? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
I was born with a congenital deformity called amniotic band syndrome. What happens is that in your mother's sac, there's a rupture of the amniotic sac, and that then causes complications where it wraps around certain ligaments. I don't have full finger digits, and on my right leg I don't have a fully formed foot, so I'm a lower limb deficient in my class.
All right, thank you so much for enlightening us on that. Let's talk though now about you competing and your structures of support. I want to touch specifically on your grandmother, because I know your grandmother has played such an important role in your career and in supporting you. Tell me more about what Okoko means to you.
I'm very fortunate, you know. I'm a Zulu man who grew up in a matriarch, which is not something many people can say. Between my grandmother and my mother, they were everything to me. I always called them the protagonists of my childhood because they saw this child with a disability and said, you know what, we're going to name you Mpumelelo, which means success. And ever since, they've always forged a path of, if you believe in it and you put words of affirmation into your journey, that destiny is yours. You just have to go out and really work hard and make sure that you're forever prepared for any opportunities that may arise.
And that's something that you have done. Let's talk about your Paralympic Games experience out in Paris. The gold medal was beautiful. We loved it. When it came to the bronze, it was a bit confusing for a lot of people because we saw you celebrating with your coach and your wife, and we're like, we have a record. And we have a record and no medal. Speak to me about the decision then you make with your team to say we're fighting for this medal because we deserve it.
So we compete in a mixed class event, and what that means is that there's a limited amount of events that can happen at the Paralympic Games. And for my class in particular, the T44, we only have the 100 meters, and then for the long jump and the 200 meters, we put with the T64 class, which is a class that is much better than us. They're much stronger. We're not meant to ever compete against them. But in the true spirit of being South African, we say our circumstance doesn't determine our reality. You will see world records. You will see making them sweat through the hard work that we put in, and that's what we went out and did. We did the Paralympic record, world record. Unfortunately, ended up 5th in the long jump. Went back to the 200 meters, and that's where we seeked our revenge, where we ended up with another world record for the 200 meters and a bronze medal.
And I love that for you. But for our viewers at home, perhaps enlighten us a little bit, because you say you're jumping with a different class who aren't allowed to jump with the Olympians because there's clearly an advantage in terms of their capabilities, but they want them to jump against you.
It's a complex subject, and it's very nuanced, and these are my brothers and they know it, and I've always competed against them. But what the IOC has done is said you need to prove that you don't have an advantage such that you could compete with the other Olympians if you're going to be jumping with them. And I always speak to Marcus Rehm, who's the German world record holder, and he says it's impossible to prove that we don't have an advantage, but it's also impossible to prove we don't have a disadvantage. So it's extremely complicated. He's got the 9th longest jump in history, whether it's abled or disabled. And there I am with my chicken foot saying, well, Zamtwana, I'll show you Mzansi style.
I love that for you. So tell us more about your day-to-day job and what you do, because of course we've come out here to Investec, which is where you work. Tell us more about that.
So I work at Investec in our corporate and institutional banking division. I work as a structured finance consultant under a department called Treasury Risk Solutions. And what I do on a day-to-day is I look after listed entities where I'm really trying to assist them in ensuring that they are protected against different market movements, but also they can participate in the opportunities that arise in a lot of these risks. And that's what we're here. We're here to serve our clients and to ensure that that they look after their bread and butter, which is not where's FX, where's the interest rate, and what's happening in the future in commodities. We look after that, and they can go forth and really give value to their stakeholders.
We love that for you, Mpumelelo Mhlongo. In other words, he's saying, that's what I do day to day. Mpumelelo Mhlongo joining us right here on Morning Live. Of course, brought so much pride to South Africa, representing us in the green and gold out at the Paralympic Games in France, coming back to Mzansi with a gold medal as well as a bronze, and of course, smashing some records in the process.